Good evening, Reds. Welcome to the pre-match build-up. It's Manchester United versus West Ham United at Old Trafford. And a couple of players were very touch and go. We didn't know who was going to start, who was going to play. Was it going to be Bruno? Was it going to be Mount, who is on the bench and has just made it? But also a huge surprise, which you'll see on your screens now, is Aiden Heaven starting at centre-back as the central centre-back, which is very interesting. We have Lamond in goal, of course. No Lenny Yoro. So Majari comes in for him on the right side of centre-half. Heaven, Shaw. Dalot retains his place after, I think he had a relatively good performance against Crystal Palace. We'll get into that. Amad Diallo was the right wing-back, the more advanced one. Casemiro and Bruno Fernandes, the midfield partnership that just doesn't seem to change. And then the front three, a new front three again of Mbumo, Joshua Zirkzee, and Matheus Cunha. Now, lads, there's only one obvious talking point, and that is Aiden Heaven as the central centre-back. Surprise, Shreyas?
Yeah, surprised, but I think the only reason that he's getting in, that spot is because De Ligt is injured. And I think it was covered in the presser as well by Ruben Amorim that one player, or I think a couple of players, have gotten knocks and might not be available. He kept it under cover, so there was a lot of speculation whether it would be Bruno, whether it would be Mason Mount or someone else. But I think losing De Ligt is definitely a very big blow, considering you've got Maguire out at the same time as well, who can do a job for you in that central, as the centerpiece in that back three. But just like Joshua Zirkzee, this is perhaps one of the biggest opportunities for Aiden Heaven. And I think one of the reasons that he's been picked is definitely because of his height. Because I don't think that going with Lisandro as well as Luke Shaw in that same backline is going to help you when it comes to aerial duels. I think you need someone who can take that sort of pressure and maintain that sort of dominance in the when getting in those crosses aerially. So Aiden Heaven has definitely got a big opportunity today, perhaps one of his best opportunities for this season. But losing De Ligt is a big blow, because I think for me he's been one of our best players and most consistent players this season.
Yeah, Dan, it's a bit of a shock to the system, innit, throwing a young kid in there. I know he's played for United before and he's had good cameos, but I feel like the last time we saw him was either a 5-10 minute cameo in one of the Premier League games this season, or it was the Grimsby game, right? I think where he started, where him and Tyler Fredrickson both had really kind of tricky games. And I feel like if he was starting as a left-sided centre-half, I wouldn't be as worried, and I don't want to write the kid off already, but being that central centre-back, considering he's not really played there before and he is very young, do you think West Ham are going to target that now if Nuno sees it?
Yeah, definitely, because you see that as soon as you see that lineup, you can see that the defense looks a little bit weak and very young, not experienced that much. But again, it's becoming it could be very harsh on Heaven, to be honest. But again, you can see that from the previous game, even Euro didn't look that much confident, and also we are struggling with the injuries. So I think we had very less options to play on the table, to put on the table. So, but again, you can see that sense from the lineup itself that the defense looks bit of shaky. But hope it works out. But again, you have seen that Heaven, though he has bits and pieces here and there, you can see that the confidence and the strength is there. But start the game from the very starting. From the very first minute, I think that's going to be a bit of too much on Heaven. But hope it works out well.
Yeah, there's no, it's not surprising, but Lenny Yoro being removed from the team, Shreyas, obviously the Crystal Palace game, he gave away the penalty for Mateta, looks really, really upset with it. Looks like he's been down in confidence past couple of games. Is that the right management to take him out of the game and bring some experience in with Majari? Because it does seem with Majari that right-sided centre-half, I feel like he's better there than wing-back. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, but I think the same as well. I think in that right-sided centre-half position, he looks more natural, I would say, rather than as a wing-back. I think as a wing-back, I'm not saying that Mazraoui doesn't do a good, a job there in that area. I think he still offers you something in that wing-back department as well. But I think he offers you a lot more in that centre-back department. And I think when it comes to young players, especially like Lenny Yoro, who's definitely have got, very high potential, you need to know when to, how to protect them. And when you see them, 2 games in a row not playing that well, especially against a team like West Ham who are really scrappy, you would want to, bank on experience, especially when your youngsters are not performing. And I still remember last year as well, Euro had a couple of bad performances. Last year it was someone else who came into the team for him. I think it was Lindelof who started to pick a lot more appearances in the latter half of of last season. But Euro still managed to fight his way back into the team because he earned his spot back. And I don't, I'm not that concerned about Euro as a player. I just think that, with youngsters, you need to be able to, provide them that sort of environment that if you're not playing that well, you can take the limelight off them for a while. Because I think it is worse for a player who has his confidence struck down, is making a couple of mistakes here and there, and you picking him game after game after game after game, and it's just not happening for them. That just, makes the situation even worse for a youngster. So I think having quality players like Mazraoui who can take the mantle from them for a couple of for a couple of games, I think it's a smart move from Amorim.
I think an important point to this is as well is he's going to probably test it for 45 minutes. I imagine Leach has probably got 30 minutes in him or 45 towards the end of the game. So I think he will. Even Leach as a central centre-back, I don't think I've ever seen, or Shaw in this kind of back-to-me setup. So that'd be fascinating to see. But I would imagine if Heaven struggles for the first 45, he will bring on Lisandro Martinez, maybe push Shaw a bit more central, and have Leach out in that kind of left side centre-half. So that's going to be interesting, the battles in there. I looked at West Ham's front four before, and they've got Callum Wilson, Souček, Fernandes, and Bowen, I think it is. So, not the most deadliest of front fours, but still a couple of kind of problems to work with. As for the wing-backs, Dan, again, we've spoken about this many times, but our right side is our most prominent, right? We've got Amad Diallo and Brian Mbeumo again on that right-hand side, good friends on and off the pitch. What do we do? Obviously, we've got a few more weeks of this now, up until the 15th. I think even they could play against Bournemouth before they go to AFCON. But that right-hand side, there is going to be a huge shadow in their presence when they leave, isn't there?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, without both of them in the team sheet, you'll sense like it's like an handicap, and one side it's like very strengthless. But it will be interesting to see like how Amorim will fit in the other players inside that position. Maybe we might see Bruno Fernandes going towards the right-hand side. Maybe I'm not sure how this is going to
Do you think Amorim will take him out of midfield?
Yeah, maybe because we don't have any other options, because on the right-hand side, maybe Mazraoui you can play at the right wing back. But again, as a right winger, we don't have much options, to be honest. And if you are taking out Mbeumo, then I don't think we have much options there. So I think maybe he will like to maybe more bringing on Bruno on the right-hand side, and maybe chuck in Ugarte and Casemiro in the midfield. I know that that's going to be a disaster, but we are in a very lack of, and also that Mazraoui also will not be there. So total right-hand side, it's going to be gone. So you don't have any options, to be honest. And I think it's going to be a tough decision for even Amorim, like how to put in the playing 11 itself. And I mean, maybe a change of formation for maybe kind of a month. But again, it's going to, I'm confused like which one he's going to pick on the right side.
Yeah, I look at the players that we've got, and it's actually quite lucky in it, Shreyas, that I know we say this, but I obviously would have liked to have won a Europa League, right? But had we got into Europe this year, obviously we don't know how the market would have gone. But we've seen a squad like this, I'd imagine there'd be more injuries. This could have been a bit more of a disastrous season, couldn't it?
Yeah, because considering the window we just had, I'm not saying that, it would have been a complete catastrophe when it came to performances, but I would know that it would have been a lot more detrimental to our first 11, because our first 11 is the only, squad that can actually make stuff happen on the field. And when you are in multiple competitions like the Champions League, you have to rotate. You cannot bank on Casemiro playing 90 minutes on a Tuesday or Wednesday night, then playing again on a Saturday or a Sunday, and expect the same level of quality from him week in and week out. He needs the rest. And the most vulnerable department that we've got on the field is our midfield, because the moment you pick out Bruno or the moment you pick out Casemiro, the system completely falls apart.
Well, did you
And
see the worries about Bruno before that? I don't know if you saw it. There was rumours that he was going to miss the game because he had a bit of a knock. But obviously, this man you can't seem to keep him down, can you? He's just absolutely relentless.
he's played with broken fingers, broken
Yeah,
hands,
he's a
broken
nutcase.
back, and he's been. The thing is, players like Bruno come very rare.
Yeah.
Who just want to play no matter what happens, and even while having injuries, they are able to produce quality and numbers on the field. It is not easy at all, especially in the position where he plays to generate those sort of numbers. It's a very big ask. And apart from that, I think I don't know how Amorim is going to be able to relax the burden when it comes to Casemiro and Bruno. When it comes to the playing minutes, how is he going to be distributing it amongst the likes of Kobe Menu, Ugarte, and some other players? But he needs to figure out something, because we've seen it a lot of times as well that Casemiro cannot endure a full 90. By the time that 65th minute or 75th minute marks, kicks in, you need to make substitutions, and Ugarte is definitely not the answer.
No.
He's just not been able to produce anything whenever he comes on, and we look a whole lot more vulnerable. I read it somewhere that I think with Casemiro on the field, we conceded like 6 or 7 goals.
Yeah, it's night and day.
Yeah, and the
Night and
moment
day.
he comes off, it's in double digits, like 16 or 17. So it's a big margin when you look at with Casemiro and without Casemiro on the field. And maybe you need to tweak something. Maybe you need to figure out a way where you can maintain that sort of stability when it comes to not conceding goals. When when it comes to maintaining the shape without having Casemiro on the field. But he needs to come up with something quick, because I think as the season moves on longer, I don't know how much more we can depend on Casemiro when it comes to playing week in, week out, week in, week out, and then the FA Cup is going to be coming around as well. So you need to be very careful as to how you balance those minutes.
Well, I'll ask you about that in a sec as well, Dan. If you are just joining us, let us know your thoughts on that lineup. No Matthias de Ligt being involved in the back line. Aiden Heaven coming in for him as the central centre-back. How do you feel about that? Are you worried? Do you think he'll have a good game? Get it all involved in the comments section. As for the midfield, Dan, we're going to stick with that. Cass and Bruno, Shreyas has just said worried a little bit about rotation. Do you actually see him being rotated in the next kind of couple of weeks? Because we have got quite a busy schedule now. The Premier League games, we're playing on a Thursday night, for example, and then a Sunday. So can we afford to keep playing him almost into the ground?
Yeah, because we don't have any other options. I mean, you can, there is no replacement for Bruno in that position. Maybe close to Bruno, you can think of Mason Mount there. But again, even Bruno took little time to adapt to that kind of a role. And again, Casemiro, with the lack of that stamina to play week in, week out with the 90 minutes, that's a bit concerning. And again, you don't have the kind of a close like-to-like change, and maybe you only have the option of playing Ugarte there. So which Ugarte and Mason Mount, you don't see them reaching that same level what Casemiro and
chance.
Bruno Fernandes are doing in the pitch. But again, at some point, Amaron will have to find a way out of this, because with all the three players, with Mbeumo, Mazraoui and Ahmad going out, and then again with a lot of games coming in, so Amaron will have to definitely find out something to fix that lack of players. So I think that midfield, at least in January, we should be looking for at least cheaper options, maybe somewhere around 15-20 million. And again, I think now Amarin would be all over Xerxes for convincing him not to go, because that we are still struggling. That when one of our players are not attacking players are not available, we are totally dependent on Xerxes, and that's how it is. And even if Xerxes is not there, then we are left with no one to replace and play in that attacking role. But coming back to the midfield, definitely we have to look for a change. And now the confusion will be whether to look for a short-term solution or for a long-term solution, because that Bruno Fernandes is 31 plus and Casemiro is kind of towards the end of his maybe last season, or the one or two seasons max we can get out of him at United. So it's going to be a confusion whether to go for a long term or a short term. But at this point, I think we should be focusing on kind of 15-20 million deal to replace, to at least to bring back for a backup role.
Like a depth kind of option.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. You never know, like I mean, just fingers crossed. But even if you get, if you get Bruno out of for few weeks or couple of weeks, we are down, very down. So we
Yeah.
won't be able to
I,
come back from that. Yeah.
I was just thinking that, like, when I was reading reports before about Bruno, I thought, fucking hell, if he's out,
Yeah.
like, because clearly he doesn't rate Mainu and Ugarte, he just doesn't, otherwise he'd play him more. So had Bruno been out, I would have been fascinated to see who he actually went for, if it would have been, because he always talks about Mainu's in competition with Bruno and then Ugarte's in competition with Casemiro, so he kind of would have forced his hand a little bit to kind of see who would have kind of replaced him with. But yeah, they're in the midfield, so that's good. Bruno and Cass, happy with that. Alongside him as the left wing back, Shreyas, we've got Diogo Dalot, who, if we're being, blunt, has been pretty shit for majority of the season. But I thought against Crystal Palace, actually, he was a lot better. And you've seen these comments come out about Patrick Dorgu as well. What did you make of them? Because for me personally, I felt like it was too open and too honest and maybe a little bit harsh and critical to put into the public with journalists.
I mean, since Amorim and Dalot are related, you understand why the hate about Dorgu is
You've got to protect your nephew,
yeah,
haven't you?
Yeah, you have to. Christmas is coming around as well, so you don't want any awkward people. But yeah, besides that, I think, with Dorgu, the thing is, he's still a youngster. I think people, tend to forget that, he's genuinely very, very young.
Yeah.
He's younger than Ahmad as well, I think. So,
But what have you actually made of it since he signed? Both years as well. Can you jump on this? What have you actually made of his performances? Like, if you on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you think he's done?
I think he's done okay. I don't think that he's been bad. I don't think at all that he's been bad. I think he's been all right. I think he's definitely shown promise and glimpses of, what level he can achieve. But there definitely, have been moments of inconsistencies. There have been moments of immatureness, which, you would expect from a youngster. And considering how much of a role wingbacks tend to play in this system and how much more of the ball wingbacks tend to have in this system, Dorgu's inconsistencies get amplified, I would say. I think athleticism-wise and when it comes to, having that sort of physique, I think he's definitely up there at a very young age. But there's definitely a lot more progression that needs to be there, and he definitely needs to learn a lot. But I wouldn't say that he's been a bad buy at all. I think he's young, and I still think that he can be a good player for us in the time to come.
Yeah. Dan?
Yeah, I think I would rate him somewhere around 6.5 at this point. But to be honest, we have seen him play at a level of 8 of rating, and also we have seen him play for the 4 rating. So I think it's kind of a bit on and off, but definitely you have seen that 8.5 kind of a performances from him. So it's all about the consistency and maybe the more experience when you get to play more often. But you have seen that strength and ability are always there with him, and especially with this setup, playing as a left wing back, and also you need a player who can run up and down for 90 minutes, and you can see that it's there with Dogu. But again, it will take some time for him to also, come to his prime. But now you can see and you can sense that it's all there in him, but it's only thing that it needs to be consistent. Consistency should be a key role of it, and maybe a competition better than Dallo with maybe an experienced left wing back can even help him to. It's like a teacher. You want to be in that position to teach him how to play that. So now it's like Dallo only is playing in that position, so you cannot learn much from that.
You don't want Dallo as a teacher, do you? Here's how to kick a ball out of play. Here's how to have a heavy first touch. Here's how to not mark your back post. Come on. I'm just watching at the minute. Gary Neville is he's just been interviewing Ruben Amorim. It's on my screen here, and I think that must be so awkward because if you remember a few weeks ago, Gary Neville, some of his comments on Ruben Amorim and what he was saying about the players, and it looks like, I don't know, it looks a little bit frosty. I don't know, it looks a little bit weird just seeing it on screen here, but he was asking about Lenny Yoro and he's saying it's a tactical issue. Today we need to win, no matter what. As a manager, we need to think about everything. I spoke to Lenny, not about leaving him out, but the message, he is so disappointed, but I've told him that it is tactical. And he's spoken about Bruno Fernandes and CUNHA being game changers. and that's why they're in the side. And Roy Keane's also mentioned that it's an opportunity for United to put a marker down today. See, you see when I see comments like that, I just think, how many times have we had this conversation, lads, where we've been in a position so many times where other teams around us have lost, or this, you see Chelsea yesterday, supposed to be in a title race with Arsenal, and they lose 3-1 to Leeds. If we win today, we go level on points with Chelsea. That's how crazy the Premier League is, right? Man City were 5-2 up against Fulham, and they nearly drew the game. Fulham nearly brought it back level with them. Liverpool drew to Sunderland at Anfield. If you just find any form of consistency at all, you'll be in with a shout for European. It's not even like it's the hardest league ever. I know the Premier League is in terms of competition, but we're talking about a league that's like, no one's at it. No one's at the races at the moment. And United have got West Ham at Old Trafford tonight, and then we've got Wolves. But because of the Everton game, Shreyas, and things like that, you just can't trust this team at all, can you?
Yeah, and considering, I'm banking on us to win the league this year, it's quite disappointing to see us drop points against the likes of Everton and Brentford. And the thing is, you expect this from this side. You can expect them to have performances like they did at Anfield, like they did against Sunderland as well, complete 90-minute performances at times. But they also have, the tendency to completely capitulate against oppositions where you would want us to be a lot more dominating, a lot more, in command and in cruise control of the game. But I don't know how it happens, but the levels just completely vanish in said games. But when you expect them to drop, when you expect them to lose, they just somehow turn up with the goods. And the thing is, I would say definitely we are a lot better than we were last year. I think we've definitely improved in a lot of areas. There has been progression, overall levels. And when it comes to physicality of the team, I would say there have definitely been a lot of good signs. But I think we need to understand this as well. We are still not there yet. It is going to take us more time. It is going to take more additions into the team. Some new faces going to come in, some old faces going out of the squad to actually, get us into a, stable enough position where we at least, make it into the Champions League on a regular basis, season in and season out. Because right now it is one season we are in the Champions League, other season we drop to the Europa League. Then
even financially, Shreyas, as well, like it's a big thing in it. Obviously, Champions
League. It definitely is, and it takes a big hit when it comes to the signings we want to make. The competition with other clubs, it becomes a lot more tricky for us to attract players. So I think the first step for us is definitely get into the Champions League on a consistent basis, year in and year out. At least be a team who can go on a consistent run of games. I can still see us dropping points in the games to come. There are definitely.
I see us drop. Shreyas, I genuinely I see us dropping points tonight because, and the reason why is, and people might hate that I'm saying that, is because let's go off the patterns of this season. Everything that's happened. You just said we've beat teams that we're not expected to. We've beat Crystal Palace. We haven't beaten for fucking God knows how long. We beat Liverpool at Anfield, despite how shit they are. That was still within 10 years. We beat Brighton. That's a bogey team. But we fucking lost to Everton at home. We lost to Grimsby. We lost in the Brentford game where we were supposed to win. So tell me, other than this algorithm of games, why we shouldn't expect anything less today? Because this is what the team has been doing, right?
Yeah, and that is why this game is actually very important. Because if you honestly want to flip the script, this is the best game that you're ever going to get. Other teams dropping points. You're playing a very weakened and a very low on morale and low on confidence West Ham side. If you genuinely want to flip the script that United cannot, do the job, United cannot make the most of their opportunities when other teams are dropping points, increasing the gap, and rising up the table. This is going to be perhaps the best opportunity you get all season. If United aren't able to convert it now, then you can expect us being one win, one loss, one draw, and somehow we are just banking on other teams dropping to make sure that we get into European places by the end of the season.
Yeah, Dan, do you feel that kind of frustration if United lose tonight or drop points? Let's just say if it is a draw, do you think it because of the way they play rather than the opposition?
I mean, if we drop points today, then I think it's going to be always on us. Because we know that this team is capable enough of. I mean, we have seen the results they have shown against the bigger teams. And when it comes to a more kind of a smaller teams and the teams which are struggling, we have become more, I mean, conceding rather than trying to kill the game on early on. And
Yeah.
if we could have taken the chances from the previous games, we could have been, to be honest, we could have been in a place where we could be challenging Arsenal. Because if you see the game against, I think it was Nottingham Forest, we were
Yeah.
leading in the halftime. The game
Tottenham as
against
well.
Tottenham, we were leading in the halftime, and the game against Everton, that was always to take. Always we thought like we're going to win that. So it's like a
Yeah.
7 points, so we could be kind of level on points for the second place. So today again, there's a chance for us to jump 4 places. So, and it's always been, scary to even think about that, because whenever we thought like we have a good chance to jump the table, then United have bottled it down. So, to be honest, if we win today's game, I think we should be in better place. But again, this run of 4 or 5 games, we should definitely get the maximum points out of it, because after that, you know that with the lack of players, we can be struggling a lot. So it's going to be, if we do not get points today or maybe in the coming 2-3 games, then it's going to, we might even end up in the second half of the table coming January. So that's how it is going to be. So whenever you get the chance, just take it with both of your hands and just I want to see us killing this game early on rather than dragging it till the late, because you know that West Ham still have that firepower to come back, and they have all tall players to get a goal from nowhere. So it's going to be very interesting, and United should get the win early on.
Yeah. 2 questions unrelated to football, Dan. One, the T-shirt that you've got on, is that the Brahma Bull, the Rock, or is it just a bull?
It's a bull.
It's just a bull, or it's the Brahma Bull? That's like, is that in wrestling? I don't know if you're familiar with it, but the Rock, you know what the Rock is, right?
The Rock one.
It's the Rock one. It is the Brahma Bull.
No, I don't think so. I'm not sure.
You're confusing the life out of me. Don't worry about it.
It's just random.
Yeah, it's a nice T-shirt, but I just thought it was to do with wrestling. Shreyas knows what I'm on about anyway.
Yeah.
And then the second question is, where did you get your wallpaper from? Because it's very on theme with Real Reds talk, obviously the green kind of, and I feel like I want something like that behind me. So is it wallpaper? It is wallpaper, right?
Yeah. It's like not completely wallpaper, but they use the butter paper to paint it down and then put a color on top of it. So
okay,
it's like a whole process. Just not
I'll have to
wallpaper.
message you privately for that kind of stuff. It looks really nice, like something like that behind there. It look decent. Anyway, away from wallpaper, Shreyas, back to the inconsistencies of Man United. It does feel like this team is a group of children at times, doesn't it? Like their attention span in games that they're supposed to win, they just seem to switch off when they're bored, or there isn't a bit of a challenge there. Where's your general feeling for this game today?
I think it will be a very ugly watch. I don't
Similar
expect
to Everton?
I would say in the way that both teams are going to be extremely bad.
Yeah.
Personally, I think
That's the way to sell the game.
Yeah, because if being completely honest, seeing the past couple of games that West Ham had, they just look all over the place.
Yeah.
And I think they definitely hired Nuno with lots of high aspirations after his stint at Forest, but this team just it looks like they are meant to be relegated with the way they are playing right now. And with United not being, not fairing up well against these sort of oppositions, I think that, it will be a bit of an even match, but I can see us getting a late on penalty and getting the 3 points or a draw in this one.
Hopefully not. Hopefully we smash him. I'm going to read out some comments because I've left him for too long. Andy Williams saying, I don't like that Euro is dropped after a mistake. Amrim saying, when things are tough, sorry, I already read that out, and I read the Lenny Euro quote out as well. I want CUNHA to get a run of games in that left 10 role, no more moving him to striker. On De Ligt's injury, Amarim said it's a small thing. I expect to have him in the next game against Wolves. The rest of the guys are ready to play. Heaven's a big character. He's ready to play. Huge game for him, says Chivi. Chivi also was saying earlier, I don't mind a shit-ass performance as long as we get the points. Andy saying Nuno watching the Everton game could be so long. Finally, Sam just realised that actually I hope they put it together. Xerxes and Boom on CUNHA they're on about in terms of that dynamic working up top. James McGregor saying Casemiro getting a yellow today, 110%. I think this game has 1-1 all over it with a bow and dagger at some point. I'd probably go with that prediction as well, although we'll get into predictions a little bit later. Put Cobby in Palace's team and he would look ridiculous. CUNHA will make a huge difference like Everton. CUNHA would have just carried the ball forward himself and now back. I'm worried. I nearly had a stroke reading that, James McGregor, so I appreciate that. Anyway, listen, we can't speak about the game without speaking about West Ham. Obviously, they have been poor, Dan. No Paqueta for them. I don't know if you saw that situation, if you want to give us your thoughts on that whole thing, because that was just fucking wild, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it looks really weird. I mean, I don't want to just say it like it is. I mean, it was just all planned. But how it looks like it was planned. But yeah, again, you know that he was a baller of that game. I mean, of that team, and you know that he's the main player and he's not available. So that in itself is a kind of a bit small positive for us.
Yeah.
But again, they still have the firepower in them to hurt us back. But we should not be kind of let ourselves lazy or less serious about this game, because you know that they have the main thing I could see the danger coming out from is maybe the set pieces and the free kicks and the corners, because they have kind of 4 to 5 tall players who can I mean make a difference. And with the not that much experience of a defense we have today, it can be more trickier for us to defend those set pieces. But again, yeah, I think we should be careful. I think I can sense that the possession will be with us today.
But that's when we play worse, though, isn't it? When we have more of the ball.
Yeah, more the possession, the worse we play. So I mean, it's going to be a really hard game for us at this point, because the pressure will be there with the West Ham also, because they want to give the results and just trying to come out of that relegation battle. So I think and United, you know that the players. Maybe CUNHA, you know that he has come back, but again, he will be a little cautious to play and give his 100%, to be honest. And again, with the players, and Xerxes is not looking at his pace, even though he scored a goal, but he's not looking like he's able to give his 100% on this setup of this formation. I'm not sure whether he has understood his role at this point. But again, it's going to be a very tricky game for us, and we should not be lazy of this game and not give West Ham chance to take. And I know that we have been very struggling to score goals and take lead of more than 1 or 2 goals, but definitely in this game you should be maintaining 2+ goals of difference. And also to see the whole whole structure from the top view is that our goal difference is going to make difference. I mean, in a long run, maybe could be in the top 4, because the points looks like more closer to each other. So that goal difference will make a lot of difference, and we are in a very bad position when it comes to goal difference. So let's take this game to make at least increase of 2 goal difference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the league table doesn't lie, does it? West Ham are where they are for a reason, and we are where we are for a reason. If we're looking at any form of threats, Shreyas, Jared Bowen's the obvious one. I think he's got like 6 goal involvement so far for West Ham. But actually, I really like their left back, Juve, who they signed. I think I look at kind of our wing back position. We speak about Dorgu and Dalot before. Someone like that, Juve, is the kind of profile of player that I would like. What have you made of him since he's joined West Ham, and what have you made of them in general? The couple of star players that they've got.
I think he's actually looked pretty decent, I would say. Especially, considering none of the new signings have worked. He actually looks like someone who's actually got, a bit of quality in him. And what really, attracts me about him is, his crossing ability. The way he's able to, make those pinpoint crosses inside the box. It really helps, especially when you have players like Souček and, Wilson and these sort of players in your team. You need someone, who can find you inside the box. And he looks, he's definitely got the pace with him, but positionally he's, quite well aware, and he's been one of their better performers in, one of their most poor starts to a season, I would say. So I think him and Bowen are definitely people you need to look out for, because if you allow, them that sort of space and time on the ball, it is definitely going to hurt you. You cannot take them too casually. You cannot, be playing on the back foot. You need to, maintain your presence on the field. Make sure that, Bowen is not moving into those half spaces. We tend to leave behind when we are caught napping. So I think we need to stay alert, but more than that, we need to, not take this game casually, which we sometimes really do, and it ends up hurting us.
Yeah, in terms of West Ham's form at the minute, 5 games, 1-2, drew 1, lost 2. Exact same record, lads, as Everton when we played them. The exact same record. I don't want the stars to align on that one, but I'm just telling you facts. During that run as well, they beat Newcastle and Bournemouth. So there does seem to be some sort of signs that Nuno is getting a tune out of him a little bit. I actually think it'd be funny if Nuno goes to West Ham and finishes above Nottingham Forest. I think that'd be hilarious, because I never quite understood why Nottingham Forest got rid of Nuno. I know it all kicked off with the owner and all that kind of stuff, but I thought it's bizarre because I actually rate Nuno as a coach, and I think he'll probably end up keeping West Ham up despite them having a really weird kind of jumbled up squad. There's also a stat as well, Dan, in our last 5 games, United have only won 1 against West Ham. Which, again, I don't know if you want to call it a bogey team, but I'm sure you'll remember the performances under Ten Hag, where that was kind of his last game. These tend to be really dull, boring games, don't they? So do you expect a similar game today, or do you actually think it's going to be quite the opposite?
I sense it's going to be a little opposite because of the change of the managers, and you can see that West Ham are, even though they have lost games and they are down the table, but they are not lacking in scoring goals. So they have scoring, and they have players who can score goals. So I think in the last 5 games they have scored couple of times 3 goals against even Newcastle. They have scored 3 goals. So I think they have that in them to score goals. And again, we cannot write them down, write them out at the beginning itself. But you know that, and especially even if our record would have been better and against smaller teams, then we could have been more confident. But we know that against the smaller teams and the struggling teams, we have always struggled and we have given the opposite performances. So it's really, tricky to guess what could be the outcome of this game. One side says that United will win this game, but again, you know that with the background and with the past experience, you know that United can even switch off themselves and can cause trouble against us, and we can be the team who can beat ourselves. So that's the pathway which we have followed even in the games we have lost. And again, West Ham, I think again they will be looking out to would give something for the team. And to come out of that relegation battle. So I think that firepower is still there, and Soucek looks like he's kind of now becoming a player who can score goals on more often. So keeping him off, and also against Wilson. Whenever we played against Wilson, I have been very. I know that he just finds some way out to score goals against us. So the players are there who can score goals. So it's going to be very interesting for us to see how it goes out. So maybe, like I said before, like we need to kill this game on early on. We cannot leave it late because we don't have the firepowers at our bench also to come out. And also, if we score goals, again, the defending thing is still lacking from the bench. So though attacking is, we know that it's not, we don't have much of an options apart from Mason Mount and Kobe Mino. But again, with the defense wise, you don't have much like for like changes. We know that Martinez is there, but again, you can only change him against Luke Shaw. I don't see him play a central or the right-sided centre back role. And also Lenny Yoro, I think I think we cannot bring him on at a point where we are winning by 1 goal. And you know that
I wouldn't put it past Amarin Dan, to be honest with you, the way he brings centre backs on the pitch. It just seems like he wants to shuffle the pack sometimes, doesn't he, just for the sake of it.
Yeah, we have seen that whenever we need a goal, and you see that from the sideline, he's making a centre back change. So that in itself is kind of a crazy.
But Dan, on that, Sam made a great point in the chat. He said we spent 200 million on the attack, and we've not even got an attacker on the bench.
That's what I'm trying to say. If we are in a need of a goal, we don't have anyone to come on and make a difference. So maybe Mason Mount to some extent, but again, you don't have any other player to come on and make a difference. So it's like you always are dependent on your playing 11 to score goals and give your team the goals. So again, but today the case is also applying on the defense side as well, because you're not much dependent on the bench to come up and do the defending. So it's like today, I mean, earlier to this game, you know that you had the lack of attacking options and still you had some defending options in the bench. But today it's like the combination of both. Like you have to kill this game with the starting 11 that you are playing now. So
Yeah.
you cannot depend on the bench to make a difference.
I forgot to mention the bench. So we've got Bayande, Dorgu, Malacio, Martinez, Yoro, Mainu, Mount, Ugarte, and Shea Lacey on there. So not the most depth, whatever you want to call it. I'm not using the right terminology, but you get what I'm trying to say. All right, let's stop dancing around it and let's do 4 things we see happening in this game. Who wants to kick it off?
I'll go first. Casemiro yellow.
Yeah.
I mean, the last game I was telling Nick, like we need to
Yeah.
we need to put this out. Casemiro.
That's just given, innit? Casemiro yellow at this point.
I think Casemiro yellow. I think Mbumo gets a goal. I think he's had a bit of a dry patch, in
Yeah,
the past
been
few
quiet.
weeks. I can see him getting a goal in this one. I think Lemons gets a clean sheet.
Ooh.
Yep. And the final one being Bruno to score or assist.
Okay.
He's had a bit of a dry patch with goals as well, and he tends to score every 5 to 6 games. So maybe this is the game for him.
Dan.
I'll go with conceding a header goal because of the tall players that we are playing
Suchek,
against.
something like that off a set piece.
Yeah. And also, I'll say like United will win the game, and again Casemiro yellow always there, and maybe CUNHA scoring goals.
Okay,
One out.
I'll take that.
Yeah.
Was that 4? Sorry.
I think I said 3, but I'm struggling to get a 4-1.
Yeah, like you can go with 3. That's absolutely fine. Are you ready for mine, fellas?
Yeah.
Okay. Brian and
I close
Boomo
my
to
ears.
score or assist.
Yeah.
Tadibo, yellow card. Both teams to score. And it to be a draw. That's what I see happening. Prove me wrong, lads. Prove me wrong. Please, for the love of God. So I can come and do this review after the show with Sam and Adam, is it? Or maybe, I can't remember who else was on, but I'm going to do a review live after the show. Please have me smiling ear to ear that we've won comfortably with a clean sheet and we're in the top 5 speaking about potential European football rather than what a fucking disappointment this team is yet again. And we're going around the circus, around the roundabout. Fingers crossed, lads. For everyone watching, please do enjoy the game and join us afterwards. Appreciate everyone in the chat with all the nice comments and stuff. If you can leave a like of the video for us before you head off and subscribe to the channel, that'd be absolutely great. Apart from that, enjoy the game. And yeah, me, Dan, and Shreyas will see you at some point.